Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. As always, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you're checking out the bell icon so that you're getting notifications from when my content drops. Like, subscribe, and share, and comment. The reason that I like comments is it tells me that what I need to be working on, and it tells me whether or not we're having an impact. The more we work on questioning one another and interacting with one another, whether we agree on everything or not, uh, is not what's important. It's the ability to come together, reason, dialogue, and interact logically and philosophically with one another is what will make us a stronger society. Again, sadly, we're just not seeing that taught much these days. So this is another installment of Understanding Alinsky. Today, we're going to be taking a look at rule number 8, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what that looks like, why it's important, and the kind of impact that it can have on a society, a culture, especially here, that of the United States today. I know it seems random. Why, so you did Rule 12 or Rule 13, depending on how you break them down, the first time, and then you did a little bit about the background of Alinsky, and so what's going on, TC? Well, I'm looking at the rules, I'm studying them, I'm trying to make sure that I'm understanding them correctly, and I'm trying to pull from current events so that we can look at each rule and see how it's being used on us today. So for rule number 8, one of the things that comes up with this, it says, keep the pressure on, never let up. And here's how they flesh it out. Keep trying new things to keep the opposition off balance. As the opposition masters one approach, hit them from the flank with something new. Attack, attack, attack from all sides, never giving the reeling organization a chance to rest, regroup, recover, and re-strategize. Sound familiar? Of course it does. So let's go back to March of 2020, when all of the different local despots and got, on board with the COOF restrictions, some at the city level, some at county level, some at the state level. But they all really started to get on board, and they started to really hit home, right? Bam, keep the pressure on. The COOF is going to kill you. The COOF is going to kill you. The COOF is going to kill you. We need to protect you. We need to protect you. And then it was like, ooh, now we need to do this, and now we need to do that. And people started to very quickly, two things happened. People started to adapt to the COOF restrictions, and they just kind of went complacently along. And then there was some pushback. And so what happened when we got about 2 months into the COOF restrictions? Unfortunately, George Floyd died, right? And he died at the hands of law enforcement. Indisputable. There again, your opinion on about how he died and why he died isn't what matters. What matters is he died. And it played into the hands of the leftist Marxists. Because what did they do? They took our focus off of the COOF and the COOF restrictions, right? And then they turned it into an issue about systematic racism. They turned it into an issue about an overabundance of police brutality. And they really started to drive home with this. And notice who the power players in that situation were. It wasn't just like mayors and governors of leftist Marxist cities and states. They brought in Marxist agitprops like Antifa and the New Black Panthers and the New Black Liberation Army. They brought in Antifa Black Bloc. They brought in Black Lives Matter organization. And people were bussed in. This is irrefutable. They were bussed into different major metro areas. Breonna Taylor died. And so all of these things just kept coming. So what'd they do? They got us focused on dealing with the COOF, and people were getting irritated with that. People were going to rallies about lockdowns and shutdowns, and people were going to rallies about masks and mask mandates, and they were going to rallies about their loved ones being locked away in care centers, long-term care centers, and not being able to see them. They were going to rallies about their kids being pulled out of school and not being able to graduate. And they started to unite. So then they hit us from the other direction with racism, right? And so they got everybody so focused on ethnic hatred in the United States that everybody was reeling from the riots that were happening all over the country. I mean, to this day, Portland's still rioting. Antifa and other radical Marxist organizations banding together with them. They're still rioting in places like Portland. Nonstop, right? So then they started to get us to focus on, what are we going to do about the election? How are we going to handle voting for the election? What are we going to do? Right? Well, we made it through that. Then there was the election chaos. Was it stolen? Was it not stolen? Was there fraud? Was there not fraud? They kept us guessing. And then they hit us with the second wave of COOF, right? And others in states and municipalities began to order more shutdowns over and over and over again, right? Well, we kind of got through that, and things seemed to be kind of backing off and kind of getting down to a situation where it was feeling kind of normal, whatever that is now, right? We hear that phrase, the new normal. If it's new, it's not normal. Okay, let's keep that straight. And then they started to hit us with new aberrations, new developments, new mutations, new strains of the COOF that were going to be impossible to predict, impossible to track, and impossible to treat. And the COOF jabs were coming. Oh, we don't have enough COOF jabs. Oh, who are we going to give it to? Oh, well, is it safe for this group of people? Is it safe for that group of people? Who should take? Oh, wait, now we're multiple masks, right? They're keeping us rocking, right? When you watch boxers, right? They're rocking, right? They're back and forth constantly. They're doing this, avoiding jabs and ducking and throwing their punches here and there, right? But once you get your opponent and you get them really good from one direction and they start to wobble, you don't just keep hitting them from that direction, right? You kind of get them from the other place because they're already off their feet. That's what they're doing with us, right? Okay. So now what? Now what are we seeing? Well, we've had some more law enforcement involved shootings. And before the facts even come out, they hit us with police brutality. This is systematic racism, and this is just the result of perverse people in power. Let's be honest, there are lots of perverse people in power today, but they just keep hitting us with things. Well, guess what? They're not done. Now what are they hitting us with? Oh, border crisis. What are we going to do about the border? Ooh, don't look over here at the stuff that's going on with the COOF, right? I mean, the things that aren't going on with the COOF. Don't look at the fact that people are getting sick from the COOF jab. They are. Don't look at that. Don't look at the fact that the COOF jab doesn't do what a vaccine should do, what a vax should do. Like, it doesn't protect you from getting it. It doesn't protect you from dying. It doesn't protect you from transmitting it. Like, what the heck does it do, right? Oh, right? Border. Don't look at the COOF stuff. Don't look at the COOF restrictions. Look over here at the border crisis. Oh, it's horrible, the border crisis. And it is. It is horrible. But what is it? They're hitting you from one side or the other, getting you to be off balance. You're off guard. You're over here dealing with this thing. Whoa, what? That's what they're doing. Okay. Now, am I saying that they're staging these things, that these are like some sort of weird false flag event? No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not an Alex Jones type. Okay. But we have to understand that they will use current events to throw us off. So what happened just the other day? Oh no, we're going to have fuel shortages because the Colonial lines were hacked. They went in, they hacked, and they shut down the lines, and there's going to be fuel shortages. I have literally, in the last couple of days, seen people going out and buying fuel cans. Now, is that necessarily a bad idea all the way around? No, it's no worse than making sure you got a hefty supply of toilet paper and ammunition on hand. I have no ammunition and I have no firearms. I lost all of my firearms and ammunition in a tragic boating accident. And what I didn't lose, I had to sell to pawn it off, um, to continue to pay my bills. I don't have any ammunition or firearms anymore. Completely unprotected. It's tragic. It's horrible. But anyway, it's not a bad idea to make sure you're stocked up on stuff. That's just the reality of the world that we live in today. Because people do stupid things and find out that some sort of respiratory bug is coming, so they buy a lot of toilet paper. So now we've got these fuel line, this pipeline that's been shut down. We don't know for how long, but they've already moved to authorize emergency transportation of fuel across the country by barge and truck, that, in volumes that we're not normally allowed to do. Well, what's that do? It's got people scared. It's keeping them off kilter, off balance. They're hitting you from one direction to the next. And now what's happening? If that's not enough, now they're hitting you from the other flank with, war is coming. Israel and the Palestinian people, Hezbollah and all of those, they're back at it again. Don't look over here. Look over here. Don't think about this. Think about that. Oh, you've been thinking about this for too long. Now look at this again. Right? What's it going to be? Right? What's it going to be? What's it going to be next? How are you going to respond to it? See, here's the thing. It's undeniable that the media is complicit in driving the Marxist agenda. It's undeniable. If you haven't paid any attention to the things that Project Veritas is doing, you should be. Project Veritas has been exposing this stuff for a long time. And better yet, Project Veritas is not only exposing what the media does in their complicity, and others out there do as well, but Project Veritas especially is doing a really good thing because they're exposing the media complicity and the complacency of the American people ultimately. And they're getting sued, or they're countersuing, or they themselves are suing for the slander and the libel that's being perpetrated against them, and they're winning. The media, by and large, in the United States, as my friends from the Unsafe Space podcast call it, the cathedral, the mainstream media, the legacy media, is on board with the Marxist agenda, and they will show for them. And you will only see what they want you to see. You're not going to see the reports that show that masks don't help protect against the coof, and they haven't really put any kind of dent in the infection or the mortality rates of the coof. You're not going to see those reports. They're out there, but you won't see them. You're not going to see the reports of Chicago gunning itself to death in their poor urban neighborhoods because it doesn't fit the narrative. But you will see reports about a mass shooting at a birthday party. Now, are those things tragic? Absolutely. But the media, once again, they're complicit. And the American public, by and large, is complacent. And once you've kind of either lost interest or you've fabricated or, constructed a strategy for dealing with one thing, they're going to hit you with another because they want you off kilter. And when you're off kilter and you don't know how to respond, it will be easier to control you, to drive fear into society, into culture. And when you're afraid, you'll comply so you can be protected. Look at all the talk about what are we going to do to save the economy? Save the economy. Is the economy as bad as they're telling you it is? And I would say to some degree it's bad, But is it the problem that everybody's telling you that it is? And when you look around, how are you suffering compared to your neighbors? Does your neighbor still have a job? Do you still have a job? Well, then what's going on? Who do you know that has lost their job permanently, who can't go back? Now, there are some people who are taking advantage of all of the protections that are in place, and they won't go back because they're literally making more money not working. Still, a year later, still making more money not working than they would if they were working, which is, it's atrocious. Part of the plan, but it's atrocious. But ultimately, how many people do you know have really been affected by the coup? How many people do you know have really been affected by an economy that was destroyed by the coup? And there again, those places where the economy has been destroyed, it hasn't been because of the coup. It's been because of asinine decisions and executive orders made by people like Tyrant Timmy of the People's State of Marxisota. But where are we at? And are we being kept off kilter? Not off guard. We're on guard, but the problem is they keep hitting us with a right jab and a left jab, and then an uppercut, and then a haymaker, and it's coming from every direction. We don't know what to do. I mean, how do you fight somebody who can come at you from every direction when you're one person and you're over here trying to take on the guy right in front of you? Don't let them keep the pressure on you. Branch out. Start getting your information from other people besides mainstream legacy media, from the cathedral. Don't listen to the politicians when they tell you, oh, we're doing this for your own good. Start asking hard questions. Question authority. That's your responsibility as a patriot. Question authority. Question everything. It's not unpatriotic to question. In fact, it's the most patriotic thing that you can do. It's not patriotic to refuse to get the jab for the coup just because Joe Biden and other people tell you you must to be a patriot. When they link being a true patriot to something you stick into your body, that should make you ask questions. When they stop talking about death tolls in the United States and start pointing out about how bad it is way over there in India, or when they start telling you about this crisis over here because this pipeline got shut down, or when they tell you about, oh, look over here, Israel's about to erupt into a war, and boy, if that happens, we're all in trouble, right? When they start doing that, you need to start asking yourself questions. Why? Why is that happening? It's because they're keeping rule number 8 going. Keep the pressure on, never let up. Keep coming at them from a different direction. When they get used to one thing, hit them with another. You watch. Sometime within the next month and a half, there's either going to be another very, very large, terrible mass casualty event, either through someone with a firearm or a bomb or something, a tragic accident. There's going to be something like that, or there's going to be some sort of major law enforcement involved issue that's going to lead to more civil unrest. It's going to happen. It's just like they did with January 6th. 3.5 million people showed up in Washington, D.C., and we were told it's an insurrection. Now, should people have done what they did? Should they have been breaking windows, and should they have been breaking into locked buildings? Absolutely not. It's asinine and uncalled for. But we were told that Donald Trump, the sitting president of the United States, duly elected, and was still president on January 6th, went there to start an insurrection with 3.5 million, let's just say roughly 3.5 million people. Let's say 2.5 million people went to Washington, D.C. to cause an insurrection. And we're supposed to believe that 2.5 million people could not overrun the Capitol because of what? But they told you it was an insurrection. They told you that it was an attempt at a coup. And you just went, oh, it was. Was it a bad situation? Absolutely. Should it have happened? No, it shouldn't have. But is it what they are telling you it is? And if you can sit back and think logically and think reasonably, is this really what happened? And you can say, I don't know if the narrative fits what I can see with my own 2 eyes and hear with my own ears. Then you have to start saying to yourself, what else are they lying to me about? What else are they twisting? And why? And what's the purpose? And it's rule 8. Keep the pressure on, never let up. When they get used to one thing, attack them with another. This is socio-cultural guerrilla warfare. And you are in the middle of it. You are the target. And there's a few of us out here telling you, don't let yourself be victimized. Open your eyes. This is why Alinsky did the things that he did. This is why he said the things that he said. It was to get people to where we are right now. And if you're at that point where you're like, I'm tired of this, I can't keep doing this anymore, that's exactly where they want you. When you're like, I just can't keep hearing this stuff, I can't keep dealing with this stuff, that's where they want you. They want you to tune out and not pay attention, because once they've got you in that position, they've won. They've won. And that's what we'll talk about in one of the forthcoming videos in this series on understanding Alinsky. Open your eyes, start digging in, start finding alternative media sources, me, whoever else it might be, and start pushing back. And as always, until next time, sic semper tyrannis.